Before he was winning races, partying on yachts, and dropping some of the funniest one-liners in F1 history, Kimi Räikkönen was living a life that couldn't have been further from the lavish world of Formula One. So, how does a driver who came from absolutely nothing rise all the way to the top of motorsport while drinking and partying the entire way there? Well, Kimi is one of a kind, and to understand it, we've got to go right back to the beginning. Born on October 17th, 1979 in Espoo, Finland, Kimi's childhood didn't exactly scream Formula One. His dad, Matti, worked as a road builder, and when that wasn't enough, he drove taxis and worked as a bouncer just to make ends meet. His mum, Paula, worked as an office clerk. Together, they kept the lights on. But here's the thing about the Räikkönens. They had fuel in their veins, so when Kimi was just 3 years old, they scrapped together the cash to buy him and his brother Rami mini motocross bikes, and from that moment on, the brothers were hooked. Their dad even built them homemade go-karts to practice with, and honestly, I'm pretty sure Kimi would still be quicker in one of those than Lance Stroll in the 2026 Aston Martin. Seriously though, I can't overstate just how tough things were for the Räikkönens. Their house didn't even have an indoor toilet, so when Kimi reached the age of 10 and wanted to start competitive karting, the family had a choice to make: build an indoor bathroom or fund their son's racing career. You already know which one they chose. But man, did this pay off, because almost immediately, Kimi started tearing it up on track, and by the age of 15, he was already racing outside of Finland. But the cost of a karting career add up, and between him and his brother, the family had given everything they had. So at 16, with no real options left, Kimi dropped out of school and enrolled in a mechanics course, realizing this might be his only way to stay involved in motorsports. But remember how I said Kimi had been ripping it up on track? Well, his performances hadn't gone unnoticed, and after straight up dominating the Finnish and Nordic karting championships, he finally got the sponsorships he needed to keep his dream alive. So he ditched his studies and went all in on racing. Well, almost, because now there was another obstacle in his way: Finland's mandatory military service, because at 18 every man has to serve, and there are no exceptions, not even for future F1 legends. So Kimi showed up, did his time, and somehow managed to make it work. Well, make it work might be generous, because Kimi, he's never really been the disciplined type. In fact, one time he stayed out late partying, got completely drunk, and had to sneak back on base by climbing over the fence. When he got caught drunk, hiding under his bed the next morning, he was handed the longest restriction of privileges ever given in the Finnish military. But as long as he kept winning races, who really cared? And trust me, he kept winning. After serving his time in the military, Kimi finally made the jump to single-seaters, with his first real test being the Formula Renault 2.0 UK Winter Series in 1999. This wasn't karting anymore. There were actual cars, real circuits, and drivers who'd been doing this for years. So, what did he do? He won every single race. 4 wins out of 4 starts. Just like that, the quiet kid from Finland had everyone's attention. That performance earned him a shot at the British Formula Renault Championship in 2000. And once again, Kimi was relentless. Poles, wins, and fastest laps. He had it all, and even wrapped up the championship with 2 rounds still to go for good measure. And that's when Peter Sauber entered the picture. The owner of the Sauber F1 team had been watching, and what he saw was a driver making a complete mockery of his competition. So, Sauber did something wild. He invited a 20-year-old Kimi to test an actual F1 car.
Ich habe Kimi Räikkönen für einen Formel-1-Test ein Auto für 3 Tage in Mugello zur Verfügung gestellt und habe da einen sehr, sehr speziellen jungen Mann kennengelernt.
With each test, Kimi got faster and faster and faster, and before long Sauber had seen enough. He offered Kimi, a kid with just 23 single-seater races to his name, a full-time seat in Formula One. But let's be honest, if there's one thing Kimi wasn't, it was organised. And that's where today's sponsor, Odoo, comes in. Odoo is an all-in-one business management software, with apps for everything from invoicing and accounting to website creation and project management. So, instead of juggling multiple different tools across multiple different platforms, you have everything you need all in one place. And the best part? Odoo gives you one app for free for life, with unlimited hosting and support. Take Odoo's project app for example, which is perfect for managing all aspects of your project. First, it gives you a really clear overview of everything you've got going on. You can create projects, set up custom stages, add tasks and assign a person in charge. You can then set a priority, tags and a deadline to keep everything running smoothly. And when the project is complex, well, you can simply create subtasks to make it more manageable. And it's not just that. The app allows you to collaborate with others in real time. You can send emails, leave notes, tag teammates, attach files, and schedule activities like to-dos, calls, meetings, and reminders. And depending on how you like to work, you can switch between different views. Kanban view lets you move tasks through different stages like sticky notes, which is great if you want to visualize your workflow. Gantt view gives you a timeline so you can see tasks, dependencies, and scheduled dates all laid out clearly. And list view shows you all the important data you need to perform batch actions. So join the over 15 million users who trust Odoo for their business needs and check them out at the link below. Now, back to Kimi. So, Kimi had done it. He'd achieved his dream of joining Formula 1, but the sport didn't exactly welcome him with open arms. In fact, most of the racing world didn't think he belonged there. The media tore into Sauber's decision to hire someone with only 23 single-seater races to his name, labeling him a dangerous liability. And the FIA was so skeptical, they initially refused to grant him a super license. But of course, Kimi was completely unfazed.
There's been a lot of criticism, a lot of comment about you coming into Formula 1. What's your view on that?
I don't know.
When the 2001 season opener in Melbourne rolled around, all eyes were on him. You'd expect with that kind of pressure, most rookies would be shaking, checking telemetry, or vomiting from nerves. But Kimi, he was so unbelievably stressed that he actually fell asleep before the race started and had to be woken up by his engineers. That's just peak Kimi. So how did his race actually go? Well, he started 13th and crossed the line in 7th.
Kimi Räikkönen displays skills beyond his experience and takes Jenson Button.
Before being promoted to 6th when a car ahead received a penalty.
Yeah, rookie of the day by some country mile, Kimi Räikkönen.
Very, very much a man to watch.
Points on debut. For most rookies, that's the stuff of dreams. For Kimi, it was basically just a normal Sunday.
Performance? Yeah, it was okay.
And as usual, he was completely unbothered by it all.
No, it was easier what I thought at this moment.
And the rest of his rookie season? That was just as impressive. He scored points in 4 races, including an excellent 4th place in both Austria and Canada. By the end of the year, Kimi had scored 9 points and was regularly challenging his much more experienced teammate Nick Heidfeld, who was full of praise for the Finn.
Yeah, I think he coped with the pressure very, very well, especially in the beginning of the season, didn't do any mistakes.
Between the two of them, they helped Sauber secure what was then its best ever result, 4th in the Constructors' Championship. At that point, the top teams couldn't look away anymore, and that's when the announcement dropped that changed everything.
A former champion announced that he would be taking next year off. Mika Häkkinen's replacement at McLaren will be his young protege, Kimi Räikkönen, following his impressive performances at Sauber.
Just like that, in a single season, Kimi had gone from being labelled a dangerous liability to replacing a 2-time world champion at McLaren Mercedes for 2002. And Kimi wasted no time showing everyone what he could do with a top car beneath him. At the very first round of the season in Australia, he grabbed a podium finish. And it was that very weekend his iconic nickname was born.
I mean, Mika was cool, but he's ice cool. In fact, he's already picked up the nickname in the team as the Iceman.
Now that year, McLaren paired Kimi with veteran David Coulthard, a man who, besides having a jawline that could cut steel, was also seriously quick. But in just his second year in F1, Kimi went toe-to-toe with him all season. And by the end of the year, he'd actually out-qualified him 10-7. In the points though, Coulthard finished well ahead. And that's because across 17 races, Kimi suffered a staggering 10 retirements. We're talking a DNF rate of nearly 60%.
Out here to get fit, and look at this, Räikkönen's blown up.
Is that a blow up?
That's
McLaren.
And it's
Kimi Räikkönen.
Again, the Räikkönen seems to be getting all of the bad luck at McLaren Mercedes. He does not want any help. He's become very used to getting out of a Grand Prix car before the checkered flag is seen.
Surely the following year couldn't get any worse? But right from the start, things weren't looking good. McLaren had designed a brand new car, the MP418, that was going to take the fight to Ferrari. There was just one problem. It kept failing crash tests, catching fire, and randomly trying to launch itself into the nearest barrier. That last part does remind me of a few drivers we've seen in recent years. But for Kimi, this was, on paper at least, a nightmare situation. He'd instead have to race with an upgraded version of the previous year's car. Not exactly ideal when you're trying to fight Michael Schumacher in a Ferrari. But by some miracle, the Finn made it work, because at just the second race in Malaysia, he carved his way through the field from 7th on the grid to claim his first ever Formula One victory.
Kimi Räikkönen, 23 years old, wins his first Grand Prix for McLaren. It's back-to-back victories for the McLaren Mercedes team. What a start to the 2003 Formula One season. Fantastic.
And that was really the beginning of prime Kimi, because that year, just his third in Formula One, he took the fight straight to the dominant Schumacher-Ferrari partnership. He pushed the German hard, and by season's end finished just 2 points behind him in the championship. He'd stood on the podium 10 times in 16 races and scored 50 points more than Coulthard. And if it hadn't been for a few brutal mechanical failures, that championship might well have been his. But even beyond the track, Kimi was becoming a legend. His calm, ice-cold personality had already won him a huge number of fans.
I think most people consider driving a racing car at breakneck speed as a pretty scary experience, but I get the impression that you find facing a room full of autograph hunters even more daunting. Is that right?
I don't know, it's part of the work and it has to be done, and it's not such a big thing in half an hour. If you make more people happy, it's always a good thing.
Even though he lost the championship, all those podiums did at least mean one thing: partying and drinking, because Kimi was never exactly shy when it came to alcohol. But in 2004, he wouldn't be spraying anywhere near as much champagne. After coming so close to the title in 2003, everyone expected Kimi to come out swinging, but the first 3 races of 2004, they couldn't have gone much worse.
There's Räikkönen, he's got some problem, it looks like the engine died, and Räikkönen then slowing, Räikkönen in the McLaren, and smoke coming out of the back.
Sorry to interrupt you, but look at that. I think it's fair to say that that is possibly engine related.
DNF after DNF after DNF. The MP419 McLaren had built that year was horribly unreliable, and worse still, it was slow. Really slow. Not even Kimi could drag that thing onto a podium. So halfway through the season, McLaren basically gave up on it and introduced the MP419B, a heavily revised B-spec car. And at the very first race with the new car at Silverstone, the improvement was immediate.
And look, can Räikkönen make it stick up the inside now? Of course, yes he can.
What a tremendous drive also by Kimi Räikkönen. 15th podium, and could have been a lot more if McLaren's car had gone well at the start of this season as he expected it to. But now he seems to have a weapon with which to attack Ferrari.
With that car, Kimi had a much stronger second half of the season, securing 4 podiums. And then came Spa, where Kimi, starting in 10th, drove one of the most iconic races of his career.
Look at this, side by side down the hill.
Räikkönen then takes Michael Schumacher. Räikkönen then with a 45.6, fastest lap of the race, a second faster than the Renaults.
Just 7 laps to go in the Belgian Grand Prix, and Kimi Räikkönen is leading Michael Schumacher by 1.5 seconds. But he's beaten Michael Schumacher in the Belgian Grand Prix. A magnificent win for Kimi Räikkönen.
You already know what that win meant afterwards. But if you think Kimi partied hard in 2004, then 2005 was something else entirely. Because this year he was right back in the championship fight, and this time he was facing off with Fernando Alonso. And it genuinely looked like Kimi had a shot at the title. The McLaren was fast, Kimi was as cold as ice as ever, and on his day, he was absolutely untouchable. Across the season, he won 7 out of the 19 races, including his legendary comeback drive in Japan, where after a rain-scrambled qualifying left him starting down in 17th, he diced through the field and still came out on top.
Is this Räikkönen finally getting past Michael Schumacher?
And that is the margin, and that with 8 laps to go, that's what Räikkönen has to close up now. 3 laps to go, Räikkönen has taken 1.3 seconds on that lap out of Giancarlo Fisichella.
Has he got enough traction to keep the McLaren behind him? He's really left himself to be a sitting target now. He'll have to go defensive down the inside, he'll have to go tighter than that. Oh, and they nearly touched. Can Räikkönen sweep in? Yes, he can. Brilliant.
What a brilliant move! Side by side down the straight, Grand Prix racing at its absolute finest with Kimi Räikkönen, the winner! Absolutely sensational performance!
But although the McLaren was arguably the fastest car that year, and Kimi may well have been the fastest driver, reliability once again destroyed his title hopes.
Does Kimi feel robbed of the title?
It's always easy to think that way, but the fact is that we were not consistent enough. We had too many problems with the car, so that's why we didn't win the championship maybe, but okay, we have a quick car, and hopefully next year we can challenge for the championship and try to win more races.
But in hindsight, that optimism was slightly misplaced, because after 4 years of McLaren, 4 years of blown engines, shattered suspension, and watching championships slip away because the car fell apart, the 2006 season was only more of the same. And while he might have grabbed 6 podiums across the year, the most memorable moment of his season came in Monaco. After qualifying third and running well in the race, his McLaren decided it had seen enough and caught fire.
And Raikkonen's car too is on fire, and now Raikkonen is out of this Grand Prix when he was looking set for certainly a chance to win it at one point.
So what does Kimi do? Head back to the garage for a debrief? Of course not. He walked straight to his yacht, stripped off his race suit, and enjoyed the sunshine.
There is Kimi Räikkönen. He's not even gone back to the paddock. He's got his shirt off. He's with some of his best mates from Finland who've consumed their own weight in champagne and beer, and I bet he fancies a drink now after the huge disappointment.
And somehow that wasn't even his funniest moment of the year, because later in Brazil, the circuit was hosting a special presentation for Michael Schumacher, who was retiring at the end of the season. Football legend Pelé was there, all the drivers were present, well, all except one, and when Martin Brundle caught up with Kimi afterwards, I genuinely don't think his interview could have been any funnier.
Kimi, you missed the presentation by Pelé.
Yeah.
Will you get over it?
Yeah, I was having a shit.
You can't help but love Kimi. He really is one of a kind. But remember how I said Schumacher was retiring? Ferrari needed a replacement, and you already know who got the call.
On screen, Michael Schumacher retiring from Formula One.
He is going to be replaced at Ferrari next season, and this again is no surprise, by Kimi Räikkönen.
Now, he was wearing red, driving for the most iconic team in motorsport, and filling the shoes of the greatest driver of all time. And at the opening race of 2007, he immediately proved he belonged there.
He has picked up where Michael Schumacher left off. Kimi Räikkönen wins!
But don't let that win fool you, because the McLarens that year, they were in a league of their own, and Hamilton and Alonso were going at it all year long.
But he's definitely putting the harder tyres on. There's Lewis Hamilton queuing up behind him, and have they raised the lollipop to let Alonso out? Is he blocking Hamilton here?
But while those two were busy stealing points off each other, Kimi quietly kept stacking them up in the background, doing everything he needed to keep himself in the championship fight. But of course, he was still being Kimi off the track too, because when an electrical issue ended his race in Spain after just 9 laps, Kimi left the circuit early so he could get home in time to watch the Ice Hockey World Championship final. And after another DNF in the European Grand Prix, he did the sensible thing and flew home, rounded up some of his mates, and entered a powerboating competition, dressed as gorillas. Yeah, I'm not kidding. And you just know he got absolutely hammered afterwards. But while Kimi was off living his best life, the two McLaren drivers were imploding.
Down the pit straight in Indianapolis, the two teammates, you could put a cigarette paper between the wheels. Hamilton holds his nerve, but Alonso is on the warpath.
And for Kimi, that was perfect. He kept picking up points, podiums and wins whenever they were available. But even after victories in Australia, France, Silverstone and Belgium, he still entered the penultimate round in China, trailing Alonso by 5 points and Hamilton by 17. By all accounts, it looked like the young British rookie had the championship in the bag. But man, that couldn't have been more wrong.
Raikkonen seems to have the advantage in these conditions. He pulls again alongside him, and Hamilton's going to have to yield this time. Through goes Raikkonen into the lead. Hamilton down into second place. Into the pits anyway comes Lewis Hamilton. He goes straight on into the gravel trap. Can he keep the wheels spinning? Well, as things stand, this is going to turn the World Championship on its head. So here comes Kimi Räikkönen to record his 14th career victory, and a very important one that takes him through with the World Championship fight to Brazil in 2 weeks' time.
That win in China changed everything. Now Kimi was truly in the fight, just 7 points behind Hamilton and 3 behind Alonso heading into the final round in Brazil. He was still the underdog. Not that he cared in the slightest.
Here we go, Massa goes across, Hamilton covers, and Raikkonen looks like he's gone round the outside of him. Alonso side by side with Lewis Hamilton, and Alonso pushes his way past. Alonso tries to block, Hamilton looks desperate here. Oh no, is that Hamilton slowing? It is, he's got it going again, but a lot of people have passed him. He's down, we believe, in 18th place. So the two Ferraris really in class of their own at the front, lapping in the high 1:13s at the moment. Very scruffy there from Felipe Massa, the race leader, and that's allowed Räikkönen to close right up on him.
You know, Räikkönen is not pitting this lap, so it must be Massa that's coming in for a stop.
Kimi Räikkönen dives into the pit lane, there he is. So the crucial question now is, where is he relative to Felipe Massa? Räikkönen is up to speed, he now launches it down the main straight. There is Massa, and that puts Räikkönen in the lead of the race.
Remember, Hamilton needs 5th place to win the World Championship. He's currently 7th, 16 seconds behind 6th place man, and Räikkönen sets a new fastest lap of the race.
Kimi Räikkönen wins the Brazilian Grand Prix, and the dream is over for Lewis Hamilton. Kimi Räikkönen is world champion.
Just like that, the kid with an outhouse from Finland became champion of the world by a single point. And to this day, Kimi Räikkönen remains Ferrari's last world champion. Now, I wish I could tell you Kimi just kept winning after that, but the following years, they were pretty rough on the Iceman. In 2008, he struggled to match the pace of his teammate Felipe Massa, and even though he still picked up 2 wins in the first half of the season, he struggled to fully adapt to the Ferrari that year. In some ways, it felt like after finally winning that championship, Kimi had lost a little of his edge. Although, to be fair, Massa didn't win the title either, because in a twist of irony, he lost it in Brazil by a single point to a certain McLaren driver.
Expecting Massa any time now, he comes through to claim his 6th victory of the season. He has done everything he needed to do, and we wait now to find out who will be the world champion.
And is that Glock going slowly?
It is, it's Glock! Oh my goodness me, Hamilton's back in position again, and I'm sure that he is going to claim 5th place, which is all he needs to do to become the 2008 Formula 1 world champion, Lewis Hamilton.
But if you thought 2008 was disappointing, 2009 was worse, much worse. That year brought with it a new set of regulations, and Ferrari, they'd gotten it wrong, badly wrong. The car was slow, painfully slow, and even on a good day, it was a nightmare to score points with. But by this stage, I honestly don't think Kimi was losing much sleep over it. He was still his usual chilled out self, and nowhere was that more obvious than in Malaysia. While the race was red flagged because of torrential rain, most drivers were preparing for a restart, studying telemetry and staying ready. Kimi, he'd already changed out of his race gear and gone to get an ice cream. How can you not love this guy? But after grabbing one final Ferrari win with a masterclass at Spa that year, the team dropped a bombshell. Kimi Räikkönen would be leaving Ferrari at the end of the season, replaced by Fernando Alonso. Not that Kimi seemed to care much.
I mean, sad. It's not like maybe people are writing that I'm crying. I mean, I have no bad feelings. I achieved something what I wanted, and now it's time to do something else.
So for the next few years, he did exactly that. He tried rallying, but his results weren't anything to write home about, and he even made a brief appearance at NASCAR, but he never quite looked like the same driver he'd been in years gone by. For a while, it really seemed like F1 was behind him, but then came one of the biggest surprises of all. The Iceman, back in F1 for the 2012 season, with a struggling Lotus team, of all places. At that point though, nothing could really faze Kimi anymore.
How does it feel to be back?
Very normal. I mean, the cars are same, people are same story.
And on track, it felt like the old Kimi had returned. Combine that with a Lotus that had miraculously turned into a weapon of a car, and suddenly you had a very serious threat. He bagged 6 podiums, more than doubled his teammates' points, and in Abu Dhabi, well, that performance is still legendary to this day.
And away we go. It's a decent start from Hamilton. Look at Kimi Räikkönen though, swooping past Maldonado and Webber, and he's into second as they go into turn 1. Räikkönen might sense that the victory or the lead of this race could now be his. Hamilton just manages to stay in front. Oh, a problem for Lewis Hamilton, our race leader, going very slowly indeed, and once again it looks like something mechanical.
And Kimi Räikkönen leads the Grand Prix.
It's Kimi Räikkönen back on top as he wins the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
Wow. The Iceman was truly back, his first win in over 3 years, and with Lotus no less. But somehow the victory itself wasn't even the most iconic thing to come out of that weekend, because during the race, when his engineer kept talking to him over the radio, Kimi delivered one of the most legendary radio messages in F1 history.
Okay, Kimi, next car behind you is Alonso. I'll keep you updated on the pace.
Just leave me alone, I know what to do.
Okay, Kimi, we need to keep working all 4 tyres, please. Keep working all 4 tyres.
Yes, I'm doing all the time. We don't have to remind every second.
And if you're wondering why Kimi was driving like his life depended on it, maybe the fact Lotus had promised him a €50,000 bonus for every point he scored had something to do with it. That does buy quite a lot of beer. And he didn't stop there, because the following year, he kicked things off with a bang.
Margin out in front though is an absolute distance. Räikkönen wins the first Grand Prix of the season and starts off with absolute perfection.
In fact, that entire season felt like something special. Sure, he was never really in the title fight, but week after week he kept racking up points, podiums, and of course the pints as well. And I can't stress that last point enough, because after finishing second in Bahrain, Kimi admitted he flew home and went on a 16-day drinking binge. And then he turned up to the Spanish Grand Prix and still finished on the podium. And to be honest, that's how most of his season went. Drinking, racing, partying. I'm not quite sure how it worked, but it did. In fact, it worked a little too well, because remember that points bonus Lotus had promised him? Well, they hadn't exactly planned for Kimi to score 390 points across 2 seasons. That added up to €19.5 million in bonuses, a figure that nearly bankrupted the team. So when Kimi skipped the final 2 rounds of the 2013 season, officially for spine surgery, it didn't take a genius to work out there was more going on. Lotus hadn't been paying him, and by that point, the whole situation was falling apart. But there was one team that could definitely afford him, and in 2014, they came calling.
It's a done deal. Ferrari says that Kimi Räikkönen will return as their Formula One driver next season, partnering Fernando Alonso.
The Iceman was home. Ferrari's champion had returned, and the hype, it couldn't have been higher. I mean, pairing Fernando Alonso and Kimi Räikkönen in the same team, what could possibly go wrong? Well, pretty much everything back at Maranello apparently, because the 2014 Ferrari wasn't just disappointing, it was one of the worst Ferraris in modern F1 history. Understeer? Check. Oversteer? Check. An engine with the power of a hamster wheel? Also check. It was a massive step down from Kimi's highs with Lotus, and he spent much of the year scraping around for points while being comfortably beaten by Alonso. And when Vettel arrived the following year, any realistic hopes of another title had pretty much faded away. The Ferrari was better, yes, but the 4-time world champion in the other side of the garage was clearly the team's main man. And honestly, I don't think Kimi minded that much. He was getting paid, still putting in solid performances, and every now and then he'd pick up a podium. And for the next few years, that was pretty much Kimi's life. Solid drives, iconic radio messages.
Steering wheel, laps and steering wheel here. Give me steering wheel. Hey, steering wheel, somebody tell him to give it to me. Come on, move!
And the classic Kimi interviews. But in 2018, something clicked, and the Iceman was back. At Monza, he stuck his car on pole, setting what was at the time the fastest lap in F1 history. And in Austin, well, this one speaks for itself.
Kimi Räikkönen wins the US Grand Prix and breaks the record for the longest gap between race wins.
Across the season, he scored 12 podiums, 251 points, and reminded everybody he still had it when it counts. And apparently that also applied to his drinking form, because at the 2018 FIA prize-giving gala, he turned up absolutely hammered. But that would mark the end of Kimi's second stint in red, because the following year, he swapped seats with Ferrari's next victim, Charles Leclerc, and returned to where it had all begun, Sauber, now rebranded as Alfa Romeo. At that point, Kimi wasn't just there to win anymore, he said it best himself.
It's more like a hobby for me.
And for the next 3 years, that's pretty much how it felt. Just a guy chilling and enjoying his time in the sport. And every so often, he still reminded everyone exactly why he was Ferrari's last world champion.
Look what's happening here, Kimi Räikkönen really going for it with Charles Leclerc. 2 Ferrari-powered cars going into turn 1, Räikkönen on the inside. Räikkönen is ahead of Charles Leclerc.
And of course, he still gave us a few classic Kimi gems from time to time.
Down. Hey, stop f***ing late now, say.
Copy.
Okay, Kimi, we have now 5-second time penalty that we will serve after the race.
For what?
So that will add 5 seconds to your time after.
Then in 2021, Kimi finally called time on his Formula One career.
It's been an incredible career. You won that World Championship. The crowd here are showing their appreciation.
Yeah, it's nice too that it comes to the end, and thanks to everybody and all the other drivers and everybody. Thank you.
And just like that, he was gone. 349 race starts, 21 wins, 1 World Championship. He arrived quietly, he left quietly, and somewhere in between, he became one of the most beloved drivers the sport has ever seen. And speaking of beloved drivers, check out this video on Fernando Alonso, because just like Kimi, he's given us some of the most iconic radio messages in F1 history.